I challenge you all to try to guess his middle name here sometime over the next 2 days.
Not a sticker guy.
Anyway, thank you for attending this breakout session, and I'll let these folks take it away because I'm going to learn a lot more in the next 45 minutes, so thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Good afternoon, everyone. As Danny said, my name is Felecia Flack. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Information Services. So along with my co-presenters, Chris and Bill, we're going to tell you about how we've made student information and data integrations easy. So if you know Michigan, you know we're a mitten and a peninsula. And we're actually located in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, right on the shores of beautiful Lake Superior. And we are, our university is one of the 15 public universities. Our town is about 22,000, which it is the largest city in the UP. So although we live in a very rural part of Michigan, and by the way, 3% of Michigan's population lives in the UP. Although we live in a very rural part of Michigan, we take a lot of pride in we're becoming known for some of our technology initiatives. So in 2017, we were thinking about our mobile app and how it was becoming outdated and we needed to do something. Chris had actually written our original app back in 2014, but we have done it. We write native code for the iPhone and the Android platforms, so you can imagine, what kind of effort it took to keep that up. So as we were thinking about that, we got an email from our Associated Student Government, and this was one of the paragraphs in the email. So they were basically demanding that we do something with our app, which was great. I mean, we were going to be doing something anyway, so we actually turned it into a project that worked to our benefit, and we invited our student government representatives to join us in that project. And Bill is going to tell you more about how our project went.
Thanks, Felecia. Thank you all for joining us today. Little disclaimer, meme heavy, this presentation. We like memes. Kind of helps us tell the story, try to keep it as fun as we possibly can. So, my role here was the project manager, and I just want to go over this really quickly because I know we're here to talk about data integrations, but essentially we broke this project down into two phases. First one being learn and organize. What does that mean? Well, in order to do anything meaningful, we probably should first take a look at all the other public state universities in the state. What are they using for their mobile platform? I also have my graduate student, Elizabeth, who's great doing all this research for me, for us. Take a look at other just random schools around the nation. What are people using? What's fresh? What are the common features that people are seeing? What are the common layouts? I also have her download all those apps, go through them, play around with them. What were her frustrating points? What were the good things that she saw that she liked a lot? That was really helpful. From there, as Felecia said, we worked with our student government, ASNMU, to develop a survey that we distributed to the campus body. And we got student feedback, which I think was pretty beneficial for us. Here's what we got back. We had more responses than this, but just to keep it short, sweet. The top 5 most requested features. What do students want to know? What would actually drive them to download the app and use it? Let's give them something that they can use. I like to focus on a little bit too, the least requested features, because it's a good data point. As I went around and kind of did my quote-unquote campaigning with stakeholders around campus, these were nice pieces for me to be able to say, well, actually, I know you really want that. However, the students have spoken and told us this is what they want, so it won't be in the first iteration. That type of thing. All right, phase 2. We extended Corojo the first time. This is our second time here. It was great. We really felt supported by the vendor, and we had a lot of really good stories that were related to us from current customers at the time. I think that helped us feel really secure in our decision to go with Moto. Part of that too is I stole some ideas, because that's what I like to do at conferences. I adapt the ideas that I see. And we developed a project roadmap. That was one of the key takeaways that I got from the Corojo conference last time, was got to have some sort of roadmap, some sort of framework or guide that you can use when you're speaking with people around campus about, this is what we're going to do with the app, this is when, this is when. Then we hopped on 2-week implementation calls, and it was pretty much go from there. We did this in about 7 weeks. There's weekly calls with Dan. He'll be in the slide later. Dan Jamaro, from Moto, helped us quite a bit. Once we got the core implementation done, we did some testing. So basically we had it in a pre-prototype environment. Testing is really important. Please test, always. It's not that we ran into any issues that weren't solvable per se, but before you put anything, you probably always have to test, right? That was a good takeaway. Part of those weekly implementation calls to help us develop, and it's kind of my fault that I did it late, develop the project team, who is important to be on the team. As you see, maybe in the sticker guy handing those out, one of the offices we got involved in the process was marketing communications. They developed a sticker that you have right there. They also developed a lot of the UI, look and feel of the application. Then we had our app in production August 1st, 2018. This is an example of the roadmap that we use. I think I took it from San Francisco State. They were presented last year. But really, it was pretty simple. It gave us the idea about what personas we were going to develop for on the side, release schedule. It's not that we would necessarily hold to this hard and fast. It's really just more of a guide. But it helped people, even if they didn't necessarily appreciate our plan, they knew that we had a plan, and they knew that we could take this to them and they could give us input, we could potentially change it. It helped them also to get their head around what a persona was. Like if you go and you talk to folks who aren't necessarily in the space a lot, you say, well, we're going to do a different persona for that, or we're going to do an alumni persona. They didn't necessarily know what a persona was. Last piece I've got on this too is the release schedule. I try to pre-build in a project the expectation that there's some sort of management after the fact. So after we go live, we're going to do iterations of this. It's never just done, type of thing. I'll hand it to Chris.
So, this is where I got to come in and start working on the mobile app. As Felicia said earlier, I developed an app a long time ago. It was written natively it was written for Android and for iOS. We got a lot of requests. At the time, BlackBerry and Windows Phone were requested a lot. Thank God we didn't spend any time on it, because that turned out well. So, at Northern, I'm a programmer. I've been at the university for 15 years or so now. My primary focus is on the learning management system at the university. We run Moodle. And one of the other duties that we have that was assigned is the mobile app. So when Felicia and Bill came up with this, okay, we're gonna look at these vendors for the mobile app, I was really apprehensive at first. Are there any salespeople in here from Moto, first of all? Okay, I'm gonna offend you, I'm sorry. But, you know, as we all know, salespeople will tell you anything you want to hear. And I didn't know Moto enough to know, am I being fed a line, or is this thing really doing what they say it can do? Because if it's really doing what they say it can do, I have no idea why every school in the nation is not this thing right now. So, we learned a little bit about a product called X Module. One of my biggest concerns was I'm going to lose the ability to integrate with our stuff on campus. We had a lot of custom integrations built. I built a lot of web services for the original app right away. And I didn't want to lose those. That was a lot of time and a lot of effort put into those. As you guys heard in some of the talks this morning, a lot of that still is. It's across all schools happening pretty much the same thing. You guys have a small IT staff, and you're trying to reuse and keep going with stuff that you have. We can't afford to bring on a whole bunch more people here. So there's a solution called X Module, and I had heard a little bit about it. When we came to the conference last year, we really learned a lot about X Module, and that really, really helped last year. There are a few schools that gave some presentations on it. They're pretty basic, but it helped us out a lot on X Module. And again, I didn't know what was going on, so I was just like, yeah, that looks good. That's something we need to do. Our campus, a lot like other campuses, use a bunch of different technology to get our stuff done. We are a Lucian school. We run Banner as our primary SIS at the university. Underneath Banner, we have Oracle as the database behind that, and for a bunch of side projects. And then we also use MariaDB and MSSQL as well behind all of our stuff. We use a variety of different programming languages. I just put the ones up here that I like. There are others. But we use a variety of different programming languages on campus. So we needed something that would sort of span all these systems and these languages, and they would do what we want them to do. I didn't want to be stuck in this sandbox thing, and that's what we noticed a lot about the other applications that were out there. They were sandbox. You could pick like 2 or 3 things, put them in there, but it had to do exactly this thing, and it had to use exactly this system here. We didn't like that. One of the vendors on the screen has an app. It's terrible. If you've looked at it, it is not good. There are Felecia reps. Anyway, it is not good. So we really needed something that we could use to get our stuff going. And I was really excited to learn about this X module option as it just used JSON for everything, right? And I was pretty excited when I saw it. So basically X module, for those of you who don't know, X module just takes your data sources and behind the scenes will put everything together. You put it together yourself, sorry. And then you output a JSON file. And it reads that in and dumps it onto your app for your end user to see. And I really thought that was cool because when you leave the app and go to a web page, it's sort of like a jarring, you're moving out of the app, you're in a web browser, you got navigation buttons, you've got other stuff going on, and like I was saying earlier, responsive does not mean it's going to work great on the phone. You might just be scrolling forever. So we really liked that thing, that it just stayed within that module there. So the data is presented to the end user in a familiar way, and JSON is used in pretty much every programming language. In fact, even right down to C and C++ and stuff, if you can write out a file, you can write out JSON and it's perfectly fine. And that's really cool. I thought that was nice. So all of our programming languages that we had on campus, we're going to be able to support this. Our C Sharps, our Node.js, everything would be able to do this. So I thought that was really cool. Now we just needed to figure out how to get it to work. So, we went to the conference, we came back, we didn't even have a contract with Moto. We signed our contract with Moto when we got back. And then we got to work. And we did the other stuff first, the campus map, some of the other things the director had been not only did right away, but I wanted to take something that we could do with X module and start pumping that out, start working on that. I wanted to sort of test the waters of X module and see what I could do. So I started with grades. I picked grades because it was a really safe bet to us. We knew from the SIS and LMS perspective how grades worked. We knew the data, we knew what the students were expecting to see. We also knew that if we failed miserably on this project, we could come back to Moto because they have a grades module. We're like, all right, we can just use that. Worst case scenario, we can use that thing. And we knew we wanted this module to do 3 main things. We wanted it to show the current semester that you're in, unless the student's not enrolled in the semester, then we wanted to go back to the previous semester they were enrolled in, or the last semester they were enrolled in, and give us our grades for that semester, so at least they're looking at data. Showing them something is better than showing them nothing. And we wanted to be able to go back multiple semesters. So right now we're looking at a winter 2019 grade. And we wanted to be able to go back to fall and summer and spring and all that stuff. Our crazy students like that for some reason. And we also wanted to show the grades from the SIS or the LMS depending on what grade was there. So our school works on semesters, and at the end of the semester the grades are dumped in the SIS. That's cool, that works, that's great, that's what shows up in your transcripts, everyone's happy. But in the middle of the semester, if you look at the screen, you would just see a bunch of blanks where it is because the SIS doesn't have any data in there. So we thought, well, that's kind of dumb. It would be cool if the course is offered in the LMS to pull a current grade from the LMS and make sure we note that to the student in there that they're not looking at the final grade, they're just looking at a current grade in the learning management system. So those are the 3 main things that we really wanted to accomplish out of X module initially with our first initial thing here. So we had our marching orders, and now we needed to do something. I needed to actually do work, apparently. So I went through a lot of looking at X module. I muddled around in it myself for a while and wasn't really getting anywhere. At the time we started using X module, the training wasn't fully there yet in Moto Labs, which it came later, which was great. But I muddled my way through it, and I'm not really good at reading directions anyway. So I kind of wanted it to work, right? I was just going to do my own thing. I fussed around there for a little bit, couldn't get anywhere, so I ended up, finally going through the documentation, reading it. I broke it down into 3 main parts. So the first item up is the JWT, and this is probably the most important piece of this whole thing. So the JWT is the JSON web token. It's an encrypted token that allows your app to talk to an endpoint. So when the user calls something, it sends out this JWT first to your endpoint, to your web server. And you can set up a shared secret between you and Moto, and that's what's used to encrypt and decrypt this data coming back and forth. So you can see on the bottom here, I've got what this token looks like. This is just an example one that I stole from somewhere. But the token's made up of 3 parts. There's the header, which is in red. Then you'll see a period, and the period's what separates this whole thing up. The payload, then the actual body of it, is there in purple, and then in blue. I probably should have picked different colors so they show up better. But in blue is the signature of the token. So in the case of X module, I'm going to focus a lot on the payload. The header and signature are used to make sure that the token's valid and to basically tell the system what it is. The header contains the algorithm and the token type as well. I think there's one other piece of information there, but those are the 2 main things that you're going to use out of there. The payload, though, has a ton of information in it, and that's what Moto is sending over to you. They're sending over things like what device they're on, what module they're in, what persona they're using, and they send over there's a expiration date in there. There's also a subscriber piece of information, and that is the key to the whole thing. So the subscriber piece contains contains an ID. In our case, we use Google as our IDP for our app, right? So when you log in, you go to a Google screen and you authenticate. And what we get in return is we get the Google ID of the person. We then take that Google ID, and with that, I can relate that back to anybody on campus. All of our students, faculty, staff, anyone that's loosely affiliated with our university ends up with one of these Google accounts, and I can pin them down that way. So I thought that was pretty cool. The other useful thing to know about this whole thing, this took me longer than I care to admit, there is a time to live on these tokens, and they do expire. So I would generate one, I was like, yeah! And a few minutes later, I was like, crap! Nothing works anymore. So there is a time to live, and that's good for security reasons. If it does get intercepted and decoded somehow, then at least there is that piece of information, or that little thing in there as well, protecting you. So the JWT is real important to this whole thing. That's what gives you the person. Without that, you don't know who they are coming in, and it's hard to give them that personalized piece of information that they're looking for, in our case, grades. Okay, cool, we got the person. Next thing we need to do is we need to get their grade information, all right? And like I said before, we use Lucian and we use Moodle together to get their grades. Now, one of the things we did, and I thought that this was pretty important to do, Lucian is going through a pretty major upgrade. They're going from a system that looks like it was made in 1988 and going to a system that looks like it was made in maybe 2008. So it's huge for them, right? But they changed everything about it, right? So, and we are right in the middle of that upgrade right now. I really hope there's no Lucian people here. It's not nice. We are right in the middle of that upgrade right now. So, one of the things I did was I made an abstract layer that goes out and talks to these things. So that data abstract layer is used on our site, on our servers, and it goes out and talks to these systems and gets the information that it needs from them. Now the cool part about that is, if your systems change, let's say we swapped out Moodle for Canvas or something like that, we just modify that abstract layer to start talking with the Canvas API instead of the Moodle API. Or when Lucian gets his stuff together and we start actually having a real API there, we can start talking with their API. And the nice thing is we don't have to change a bunch of our underlying code. Our mobile apps still get their information like they always would. Someone doesn't upgrade something or something doesn't change, they still get information there like they should or could get on there. So I would really recommend looking into abstract layers for your stuff. As abstract as you can make it, I think the better, because you can sort of change out these pieces of the puzzle and your stuff keeps functioning properly. So, we have our data. We got our information from either Banner or from Moodle, and we're happy, man. We're ready to roll. So, now we just need to get that data out. So, the output of the data is just a simple JSON file that you stuff out and you put out there. It's pretty straightforward. We're going to go over a little bit of the JSON here in a second. I'll show you what that looks like. But that is really the big thing, is getting that out to there. So once that JSON file is out, the Moto app can pick that up and it pieces it together and builds the thing for you, right? And that's what's really cool. We'll get to that here in a second. So we got our JWT figured out. We've got our data put together, and we spit out our JSON object. Everything is cool? Nope. So stuff breaks a lot, and this is what really took us a long time to get around, was, getting the data out properly, getting everything formatted properly. When I'm breaking arrays down into JSON objects, it's not coming in properly. It was a whole mess. It was all on me. It was me. So we call our buddy Dan a lot, and you might think this picture is going to be Photoshopped. It is not. This is actually a real picture of Dan Jamar in the flesh. So we would call Dan a lot and bug him about our stuff. Dan, ever so nicely, provided us with some cool working examples of X module. I think he sent us like a pizza ordering app that they had done internally. And we were able to take that and say, oh, okay, here's what I'm doing wrong, here's what I need to fix. And we put everything together, and finally we got it. We got things actually displaying out to the screen, and it was working and doing what it was supposed to. It was pulling data in real time from Banner and Moodle, and it was shoving it out to the screen. So, like I said, this data is from last winter. It's taken from one of my students. Luckily, she's really smart and doesn't care that we show her grades on here, and she's doing okay. But what you can see here on the left is this is some of the JSON that's outputted right to the app. So the first thing is the element type. We picked table for ours because that was just, it was a good way to display this information. But there are so many different types out there. And as you look at the releases of Moto when they come out and you read those release notes, you'll see that those element types are being added and modified and changed a little bit, which is cool. So the element type we picked was table, and for those of you that do anything in HTML, you can kind of follow the rest of it here. It's pretty straightforward. So we have a heading, and that's going to put course and grades at the top. The heading's going to put the title at the top, and then we have the column options with the headers, and that's going to put the course and grades at the top of the column. So we built our basic structure of the table, and we're ready to go. The next thing we do is we just iterate through those rows, and we just keep throwing those rows out there for as many grades as this person has. I have no idea why we have 3 courses listed for Amazon Rainforest, but we do. So it'll just go through and it'll keep stuffing those grades out to screen there. And like I said, if there's a grade coming in from Moodle, we can actually put an indicator on there to show them that this isn't an official grade from the university. This is just your current working grade from the learning management system. So we went through, we got everything working. It was really, really cool. I was excited. We had some minor debugging to do. So this is probably one of my favorite quotes ever that was put out there as it relates to programming. And it's incredibly true. So it took me way longer than I'm going to admit here to realize, oh my God, there's a desktop view to this thing, and I can actually debug it with my standard Chrome and Firefox developer tools, like a fool. So I spent a little more time than I should have debugging this thing. But just so you know, you debug it just like you normally would any other app that's out there. And what's really cool about it is you can actually spin over to your own Linux or Windows servers, whatever you use, and tail off those logs and actually watch the stuff happening as the mobile app is hitting it. So that was pretty cool that we were able to do that and get that taken care of. I was excited. We got this done. I ran around and I had my phone. I'm like, oh my God, look what we did. We made it work. It did a thing. Oh my God. And it was met with, yeah, the old one did that too. Cool. So I was a little bummed out, but we had a thing, right? And from there, I think we made about 8 other X modules back to back to back, right away. We did our directory that way, we did our dining services that way, we did a bunch of stuff that way. A lot of these things in the app are pretty straightforward. And if you've done anything before programming, you'll pick that stuff out of there and put it together pretty quickly. You guys know your systems well. You know where that data lives mostly, so you're able to put that together. If not, you're able to get the right people together in the room and get that data picked out and put together. So I was super excited, I had a ton of confidence. I was like, all right, now let's do something cool. So Felicia said, she mentioned that we live in UP. We get some snow there. So we get a lot of snow coming off of that ridiculous lake. And it's super fun until like May, right? And then we're all like, this sucks. So these 2 pictures here were taken in April of this year. We ended up with about 295 inches of snow according to the National Weather Service. So these 2 pictures were taken in April. The picture on the left is a car dealership about 1.5 miles away from campus. The picture on the right is my daughter standing on top of our light pole in our front yard. So she was super excited to do that. And these were it's just a couple of months ago. So we live in this climate, and one of our big problems is snow and driving to class and getting to class. We have a lot of students that commute to the university. And the university itself closes maybe once or twice a year, maybe, depending on the year. A lot of times when they leave it up to the faculty to cancel classes. So our faculty have the ability to cancel their own class and call it out. Now, when a faculty member cancels class, what they'll do is they'll call their departmental secretary and say, yeah, I'm not coming in today. And the departmental secretary calls the building attendant, and they put this little pink note on the door that says, class is canceled today. And that sort of sucks if you're driving like 50 miles in and you're driving through this crap. Nobody's happy about that. So by the time you get there, you're all white knuckled and stressed out to find a pink note, you say a bunch of profanity, and you leave the university. So we thought this would be a cool thing to take a look at and see what we could fix using X module. Is there something here that we can do? So we started picking into this a little bit, and we have, for our faculty members, they're able to see the courses that they teach. They're able to get some information out of there. This is an X module as well. They're able to get their course roster, they're able to email their students. There's 4 or 5 different things in there they can do about, with their course. So what we did was we added this big red cancel course button on the page. And what happens is this whole list of things right here. So we leverage Communicate to send a notification out to our students when their specific course is canceled. It only goes out to those students. We then send out a text to those students as well. We email them, we email the building attendants and the departmental secretary. We have hooks in the DAV system, so the projectors and all the stuff that's supposed to come on doesn't come on. And then we hook into the building security system. So if it's a course that is, the room is scheduled to lock and unlock automatically, we just leave that room locked so people aren't getting in the room and doing that. So we have about 9 different systems when they click that button that all fire off right away. It's really cool the way this works. We're piloting it now, and we're going to hopefully roll it out here next winter for all the students. And it seems to work really good. Now, the front end of the app, you don't really see anything, right? You hit a button, and it's like, yeah, you did it, cool, and you're off. But behind the scenes, this whole slew of things are catching on. And like I said, there's about 9 systems there that we had to integrate with to make that happen. In 3 different databases, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that things happen. And we wouldn't be able to do something like that without X module. And again, this is all just running on a local Linux server that we have on campus. Everything comes back to that. That's behind a bunch of firewalls that we need. It can do a bunch of stuff that we needed to do. It can tap pretty much any resource that we wanted to do. So the Communicate thing was pretty cool. Students really liked the push notifications that went out about that because it was specific. It was very personal to them. It was something that only affected them and 23 of their closest friends at any one time. We don't really Communicate a little bit more to make this thing a little bit more personal to these students. And we knew right away when we got the product that we wanted to leverage Communicate. We knew that was going to be a thing for us. We really wanted to use it. We luckily, as the IT department, we were like, hey, communications marketing, we got this communicate tool, and we're like, yeah, we don't have people, congratulations, enjoy. So we got to keep it, which was really exciting for us. So we knew that we have a really bad tendency to burn out channels in our university. I pick on the music department a lot, and it's bad because I like those people, but they send out the most notifications I've ever seen in my entire life. And they're like, woodwinds practice tonight at 7, and it goes out to the entire student body. So we have a really good way of burning out communication channels at the university. So, in fact, I thought this was fun, I checked on this before I left. One of our most rejected email addresses, or most filtered out email addresses on campus is helpdesk@NU.edu. So our students just ignore that stuff. I thought that was cool. So we knew we didn't want to burn this thing out. So what we did, we approached this a little differently. We said, okay, why don't we go to what we call the core university business things on campus? Your financial aid information, your registrar information, your academic and career advisement, financial services, stuff like that. Things that are important to students. Public emergency notifications are handled differently by a different system, but we knew those core things were critical to the university and would be important to a student to see. So we developed this cool little layout for this thing where we set up the notifications, we schedule them. We work with the department, we get the notification together. We make sure it's appropriate because that's not always the case, and we'll send it out then. And this worked really well, and we were surprised at how well this worked. And the cool thing was, a lot of times, we had a way of actually knowing that it worked well. We were able to use the analytics that are built into this thing to figure out, okay, these messages are going out, and this one here I think is for a fast one. So this one was sent out by financial aid. And what we did was we linked this to a page in the app. So not only can we see the overall number of devices that received this push notification, but we can then see the number of people that actually went to that page afterwards. So that was pretty cool. It allowed us to change our communication strategy real quick for our students. It allowed us to make it more personal for them. We learned a lot on using this stuff. So let's see here. I think that was about it for that. Yeah, so we did hear from the financial aid office that this worked out really well for them. They had students, they were querying them they were actually querying them into the thing, and they said, oh yeah, we got the push, that's why we're here. We didn't know it was going to be a thing, but now it is. So that worked out pretty good. So now we'll go over some of the key takeaways, and Bill, you're going to do that after.
All right, so just some of the key takeaways from the project point of view as we were going through this. Like I said, we had about 7 weeks to do it, so we had to be really deliberate about our plan and our implementation. Part of that, obviously, is having the right project team. Everybody says that, but really listen to them when they do say that because it matters. That means anybody we had a persona for, of course they're going to be involved. Of course they're going to have some say in what kind of features they would want. Like, if we're going to build an alumni persona, I can't not go and talk to the director of alumni relations about that persona. And communicating with that person regularly. What also our right project team included was someone from marketing, and I handed out those stickers. I'll get to that point later about you got to tell folks about it. Marketing was influential in many ways, not only the UI of the application, but also the rollout to campus, and the newsletter, and emails, and social media, and stickers, and all kinds of other pushes that we made to get it out. But also included students. I think that you'd be remiss if you did not do that in your data gathering, at least at the front end, to talk with students, and then have them be the testers, have them tell you how they like it. That always helps me defend decisions we make when we go and speak with leadership. Stories to highlight, roadmap. I don't want to go over that too much because I already showed you that, but you gotta have a roadmap. I think it's a good idea just to have a guide for people. Let them know that you're deliberate about what you're doing, and it helps them visualize all the complexities that are going on with the iterations. Stories to highlight successes. That really goes a long way. I could talk all day long about the cool technical pieces, probably not as much as Jason over here. But one thing you need to do is see if you can find stories that highlight successes so you can communicate that to leadership. One we had was we have a Wildcat weekend, recruiting weekend event. And we did a little technology booth there. There was a huge adoption of the app that weekend by people who were here to visit campus, who'd never been to campus. But I could tell them, download the app and there's a map and you can find it there. And to me, it was just like, wow, that's that big of a deal. They loved it. So many people, 200 people download the app and use it all the time. That was a good story to say. One other thing to remember is that it's never done. Once you put out the first version, you're probably going to always have different versions coming, and that's based on the feature requests that you get from people. So as a project manager, we have a little system called Active Collab. It's a very basic project management tool, but it's a place where I can catalog all the feature requests based on persona, and then I have a mobile management team that consists of the people who helped us build it and the stakeholders that helps us prioritize, rank, and decide which features we're going to push out, which version, which persona. And there's technical pieces of it if you want to grab that one.
I mean, the technical stuff is pretty much we've already talked about it, but the big key takeaway from this, I would say, is do something that you can't do anywhere else. If you can do something in that app that can't be used anywhere else, that's going to really draw people into that thing and make them want to use it. And we also present the data in a much better way in the app than we can present through, self-service banner or whatever, the stuff that we have right now. So that's really my big thing, is make sure, you do that. Also, the training is amazing on mobile labs. They do a really, really good job training. So don't be like me and just try to mull your way through and actually, read the stuff. It works out better. Probably see us switch it up.
And with that, thank you for your time. I think we have a little bit of time for questions if anyone has them. Please feel free. All right, good. I like those questions. Okay, great. Go for it.
One question. Oh, go ahead.
When you were doing the course cancellation, why did you do that through the mobile app instead of through your LMS?
So we did it through the mobile app because we could hook into a bunch of different things from there. That server that lives for the mobile app lives behind one of our firewalls that blocks a lot of stuff on campus. Also, the LMS is delivered on a system that can't talk to all the different databases and stuff that it needs to right away. So we did it through there. Also, our learning management system isn't required to be used by faculty on campus. In fact, it's specifically written in their contract, and I know I was surprised too. As the guy that runs the thing, I would think. It's specifically written in their contract that they do not have to use it. So we don't have full adoption of our learning management system. We're only running about 80%. I know. About 80% of our faculty use it. So.
But do they then use your mobile app?
Some of them do. Some of them just say, well, I never do. Why would I download a thing for the university on my phone? Unless you're going to pay for my phone, I'm not doing it. But we do have a lot more users of the mobile app than we do of the learning management system for faculty.
Do you give the assistants the ability to cancel the course via the mobile app?
We give the departmental secretaries the ability to cancel course through the mobile app. And if they're like co-teaching, we'll give the other instructor of the course the ability to do it as well.
I think we have one straight back to.
Yeah. You told us a great story at the beginning that you worked with student leaders on campus, and I'm wondering how you kept working with them, and if so, what's the relationship like? Do you talk like once a semester or like every month? I don't know.
Go ahead.
We really need to go back and do that, so that was a year ago.
Okay.
And, so that is something we plan to do.
Okay.
The burner's been turned down on that one a little bit. They came in hot. Worked with us pretty closely. They were invited to all the mobile team management meetings, but then their course schedules or whatever the case may be, they don't make it. So it's kind of.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So how big was the technical team that was working on doing all the integrations with Xbox?
One.
You're looking at them.
So how many hours, how long did it take you to do all that stuff?
A lot. Yeah, no, it really wasn't that bad. I would say our rollout was pretty rapid. I think we had from nothing to fully deployed in 7 weeks or 8 weeks, something like that, maybe less. I would say probably 40, 50 hours maybe on X module. But like I said, with the original app, we had sort of a leg up that I developed it with web services already. So I was able to leverage a lot of those right away. If I had to write those from the ground up, it would have taken a lot longer. But
We had regularly scheduled weekly calls with Dan Jamara. He was very good. His support was excellent.
yeah, he kept making me do stuff.
Another one. So how big is your student population, I guess campus population? And what's your adoption rate?
Like, our campus population is like 8,000.
Yeah, undergrad and grad.
Yep. And our adoption rate, our mobile app varies across different platforms or different groups and stuff. But our student adoption is somewhere in the neighborhood of like 87%. So it's pretty high. Most students look for it right away. And we put it on. We have a bunch of digital signage around campus. So one of the rotating slides in the digital signage is for the mobile app. So we push it on quite a bit.
Try to hit them at orientation too. I mean, we obviously want to have a tool that's useful for current students and continuing students, but when they get here and they're at orientation, you can't just say, oh, I'll download that. So that helps. All right. Thank you.